Happy First Friday to you and welcome in to Cleveland Browns Daily. Nathan Zegura, Jason Gibbs, Beau Bishop will be joining us momentarily. It is the graduation of Bootsy the Bold, so that is certainly something to be celebrated. And when that has concluded, that celebration, which frankly I'm not sure, Gibby, that it could ever conclude the celebration of Bootsy the Bold, that Beau will join us at that point.
I mean, if you're Bootsy, Dad, I did not give you permission to come do the show.
No.
This day is about me.
It's about me.
Like, where are we going to eat?
Let's
like
get
the
some
finest meats. Let's go.
Yeah, let's get some proper perspective on my accomplishment here, and let's go. Let's enjoy it. Let's be indulgent. Let's celebrate my accomplishments, the bold. And so we'll celebrate them on the air, that's for sure. I got, my son Bryce, his moving up ceremony's coming up from 5th grade, moving into the middle school, which is 6th grade at his school. And Arden's going to be going into 8th grade. Crazy, which is just crazy to think about how fast it goes. But Bootsy, he's on the track. By the way, our Ohio Business Machines, OBM Hot Topics, preferred copier provider of the Cleveland Browns, who have all the X's and O's for your office. Call 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. 29 teams are set to report to training camp all on the same day in 2021, Tuesday, July the 27th. The league expects fans to return to training camp this summer, subject to state and local guidelines. Cowboys and Pittsburgh are on July 21st because they're in the Hall of Fame game. Tampa Bay on the 24th because they played Dallas on Thursday night to start the season. And Tom Pelissero says there are plans for league-wide practices and fan events on Saturday, July the 31st is kind of, another kickoff to the season, kind of like a midnight madness, as the NFL continues to be very intelligent about creating these tentpole events all around the calendar to be the number one sports brand in the world.
The train just rolls on, baby. The money train just keeps on rolling.
It does, and that's what's amazing about the NFL. It is the most popular sport 12 months out of the year. They have kind of created this dominance, this brand dominance, you could call it. But there's no doubt football is king. The NFL is king. I mean, just look at the schedule release and all the hoopla around that. They turned that into a massive, major event. And you had, the draft here. Everything. Everything now is it's a huge to-do. 2
months from tomorrow.
Jeez.
Yeah. What happened to the offseason? It no longer exists.
It doesn't exist.
It is basically what it means.
No, you are exactly right about that. It is year-round. It's where we're going, and that's why we're rolling through. We're taking a look at our power rankings now that free agency and the draft are over. We've gone through about half the league as Gibbe broke up something that had a neat 32 teams at 4 quarters. You could have 4 groups of 8. Now we're going to go like 7 and then 10 and then 12 and then 4.
All right.
We're breaking it up. I like it.
You busted my chops a little bit
Just
about
a
it yesterday.
A little bit.
But understand, we had 2 interviews yesterday.
Yep.
I knew those were going to take some time.
Correct.
So we might not have enough time to get through 10 or 12 teams.
Well, right, but 4 quarters of 8, there you go. You can always get through 8 teams, Gibbe.
I don't know if you could get through 8.
I don't know. You're right.
We did 8.
You're a
Monday was kind of a slow day. We didn't have a lot, so
you're
I went a little more.
You're the huge P for a reason, Gibbe. So we defer to you in matters of these things. We got to have a little fun with it. But, normally when you see something that is easily divisible by 4 and you have 4 days ago,
I refuse to play by those rules.
And I like that about you. I like that. Who wants to play by those rules?
Yes.
Not us. That's right. Speaking of the rules, the league has also said 30 of 32 teams, including the Browns, have approval to safely open at 100% capacity. Denver and Indy are still working towards that. They are the 2 that thus far have not been able to get full 100% capacity just yet. Do you know why that is? Is it state?
I was
local,
shocked that Indy was there.
Me too.
Especially because they just hosted the NCAA tournament, so I don't really know. I don't know what the holdup is there. Same in Denver, knowing that Denver is, if anything, I would have been worried about the California teams, more than anything else. But
they're ready to go.
Yeah, and there doesn't seem to be, based on the dialogue on the call yesterday, there's not really any concern that it won't get done and things won't happen. Now, what does that mean? Rules on masking, vaccinations will be determined by the teams in concert with state and local guidelines. The NFL will not dictate a policy across the league for fans getting into games. So it's going to be on the state. It's going to be on the city. So right now we are anticipating 100% capacity. Again, that could the state and local guidelines could dictate otherwise, but again, another step toward normalcy. And who doesn't? I mean, we were at the stadium today.
Yeah, we got to have a team meeting, basically, an organizational meeting, which for the first time in a long time in person. It felt great. It was nice to see everybody.
Yeah, but like you're looking out on that field, and it's like, yeah, the last time we were here, we were clinching to go to the playoffs.
True.
And then we were in the national TV booth calling 2 playoff games. That were pretty crazy.
Well, I was at one of them. No big deal.
You were at one of them. Yeah.
The right one to be at, frankly.
Correct. Yeah. So
what a time.
But I mean, you look at, and it got brought up a couple times, like, the hope is every seat can be taken in this stadium when we open the home portion of our schedule. And I can't even imagine the rocking that will be going on when that happens.
No, it's really it's set up to be so fun. And I think that's, as Jim Donovan will go to this many, many times eloquently, the only thing missing is all of you. And I don't, as of now, that doesn't have to be the case in 2021. And for a city that is so passionate about this team and has been longing for the team to be legitimate Super Bowl contenders going into a season, the idea of, the home opener and people getting fired up and the possibility which exists for a home playoff game if the Browns can go take care of business and win their division, win the AFC North. I mean, it would be so special. I don't know about for you right now, but, as I'm vaccinated, I'm matriculating back into society, going out to dinners and going back to the things that I used to really enjoy doing. My wife and we went out last night. I guess part of it is probably because now a lot of people are getting back in the mix and they're just happy to see people. But in terms of just for me personally being out and Browns fever and the number of people that come and talk to me and are so excited about the Browns is at an all-time high. I mean, an all-time high. And I don't get as much of from, Beau is saying people are so nervous and skeptical. I have these people, we're jumping in. The water's warm. There's no reservations, at least from the people that I've been talking to out and about this great city.
Yeah, my buddies at this point are like, you know what? We're going to Green Bay. We're going to join you. Like, do you have extra room in your hotel room? Like, we're coming to drink with you Christmas Eve. Gibbs shouldn't be alone. Like, let's go. And we're going to Green Bay, and we're going to go to the Packers. Like, I get more people asking me, where's the best place to go? Where should I, which road trip works best? If I'm going to stay in the division, because that seems to be some of the best ones, which of the 3 should I go to?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
They're not afraid.
I don't hear any of the nervousness. I
Right.
think it's a lot of, people are, if they could put down a deposit on a big game that's coming in February, they might. I don't want to speak about that. We're a little far away from that.
We're all about the work. There's much work to be done,
Yes.
but that's certainly on the table. I mean, when was the last time you could sit here before week 1 and legitimately say the notion of hosting a home playoff game is a very realistic possibility?
Yeah.
And don't say 2018. I know that everybody was fired up, or 2019. Was it 19? Yeah, 19. Everybody's fired up. Yes, we were on the cover of Sports Illustrated, all of this, that. That roster does not compare to this roster. We've got the reigning coach of the year guiding the roster. Everybody's back. We have got so much talent on this team. You just saw we're the number 3 defense, number 7 offense. And I think, frankly, his offensive ranking of us was a little bit low. The only team that's in both categories ahead of us in both categories, the defending Super Bowl champions.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the list. The only team ahead of the Browns in both categories are the defending Super Bowl champions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Better offense, 2-7. Better defense, 2-3. That's it. The Ravens are behind us in both categories. Right behind us. They're 8 in offense and they're 4 in D, which I think is a very generous ranking of their defense. But that's a team that you could go broke betting against. Same with the Steelers, to be honest. And I put them, 21 in my power rankings?
I believe so.
I think they lost some key pieces on defense, but they've never been 21st in the Mike Tomlin era. They've never been a team that would be there. So it would be a complete aberration. And look, the Browns got some guys here. They're getting to work on the field, getting prepared. The rest of the AFC North is too. We know people, you and I both, who spent a lot of time in the Steelers organization. They've never seen Ben Roethlisberger on day one of OTAs out there throwing the ball around and participating. Ever. So that's new. He knows this is his last hurrah. And it is. This is his last hurrah. This is the swan song. And for a team that started a season 11-0 and ended it, counting the loss to us in the playoffs, 1-5, they've got a lot to prove. I think if it goes south early, they could completely fall off.
I would agree with that.
But if it doesn't, that's a team that with some belief and some talent.
You went 0-2 against Baltimore. You got work to do.
Yeah.
To be the king, you got to beat them all.
Yes, that's right. We were swept by the Baltimore Ravens last year.
Do they? So you got 6 division games. You have to be at least 4-2
to win the division.
Yeah. 5-1.
We have a difficult out of division schedule as well this year.
Yes.
So I think that there are a lot of games, especially when we're dealing with, the NFC North, the Green Bay games. If somebody slips up with a Chicago or a Minnesota, if, in the AFC West, if you catch the Chargers or the Raiders on a hot day, the Chiefs you have to deal with. Denver is dangerous in my opinion. So I think that the division matters first and foremost. I think you could probably win this division going 3-3, honestly, if you handle your business elsewhere. But 4-2 feels like the right number, which it could be a sweep of the Bengals, a sweep of the Ravens, a sweep of the Steelers, and then 1-1s. Now, ideally, if you could somehow, 6-0 would, I think, cement it. But this is a football team that should be. And you think about the way the Ravens games go, Sunday night bye week, Ravens game, I don't know right now if there's a more critical 2-game stretch on the calendar or 3-week stretch counting the bye. Because if you can go beat them in Baltimore on Sunday night, then have the bye week, then get them at home.
And they don't have a bye week.
They don't have a bye week. That's a big advantage. But we got to go into Baltimore and beat them, which has been as you know, a difficult place for us. We did it now in 2019 in week 4. A dominant victory. And the last one before that, I think we needed Gary Barnes to catch the ball with his buttocks in 2015. Travis Coons, I believe, hit a field goal.
Was that McCown at quarterback?
McCown threw for 400-something yards. Set the franchise record in that game. And the truth, you got to be able to beat the Steelers. I think we feel differently about the Steelers after what we did to them in the playoffs. Now, it's a different team. I don't think their secondary is as good when you lose Mike Hilton and you let Steven Nelson go. They do get back in the middle Devin Bush, who's a beast. You lose Bud Dupree. Alex Highsmith is good. They drafted Quincy Roche in the 6th round out of Miami. He could be good. But they still have T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward, Stephon Tuitt, Devin Bush, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Joe Hayden. Those guys are all still on that team. But I think some of the mystique has gone certainly amongst our locker room. It's not like, oh, no, here are the Steelers. It's, okay, we beat them in a very ugly game when we had to, and then we whooped them. But don't forget, last year on the road in Pittsburgh and in Baltimore, we were destroyed.
Probably our 2 worst games of the year?
Yeah, I want to say 38-7 and then 31-7 or 31-6? I don't remember the exact numbers, but they were both 20-plus point beatings.
Yeah.
And they were not competitive football games.
No. It was over at halftime.
Yes, in both cases it was. But it didn't matter. It didn't stop our season. And now I think we have more confidence, and we certainly have more talent. Significantly so. I would say that we have more talent than we did at that time a year ago. So, again, big news. Circle this day, Saturday, July the 31st. That's going to be the league-wide kickoff, I think, to training camp. Tuesday, 27th will be the report date for 29 teams, including the Cleveland Browns. Let's go. Let's go, kids. It's time. It's fun to start talking about these things. We got our rankings coming up today. We're going to go through, I don't know exactly where the cutoffs are going to be, but I think we're going through numbers 14 all the way down to number 5. and we're saving the top 4. Is that right, Gibbe? Do I have that right?
if you wanted to save a few others, I'm open to pushing a couple to tomorrow. That's fine.
We've got
I'm
that.
a team player.
We've got Greg Rosenthal taking a look at his projected AFC North starters, and he's slated to join us next week and what he's got for the Browns. And I like the fact already that he has this as a reflection of nickel is his base defense that he has there. I like that as well. The power rankings we told you about. And then at 2:30, this is a real treat. Chris Kiffin joins us live, the Browns defensive line coach. And he had more people with him in rookie minicamp than anybody else. And so I'm curious to see what he thought. Tommy Togiai, Marvin Wilson, Malik McDowell, who jumped off the tape for you. I'll be very curious to hear his take on those guys and this defensive line that really is taking shape. Andrew Billings coming back after opting out. So all that, plus Beau Bishop is ready to join us. The celebration of Bootsy has reached its conclusion. That is all coming up when Cleveland Browns Daily returns.
Oh, looky who's here. Your Social Security
Ah.
benefits have been denied. Call the disability lawyers at
Huge
1-800-ELK Ohio. Elk and Elk, proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Just returned from the Bootsy pre-K graduation.
Boy.
And,
Sobs.
that's an emotional mess that
Yeah.
leaves Uncle Beau in.
Yeah, it gets a little dusty in there, doesn't it?
It does. It was great. we were talking off air. They always hit you with something. One of these songs they had the kids sign to and sing to "What a Wonderful World." So that'll just take you down to the ground in about a second and a half.
How are you supposed to deal with that?
Well, you're not. I don't think that's the intent.
No.
I think it's the intent to cripple you and remind you of your own mortality and the those who are birthed from your loins who are going. He's my last guy. He's my baby boy Bootsy. He's the last one.
That's it. He's the last of the Mohicans.
Yeah, emotional stuff. You had quite a bit there in that first segment in terms of crowds and training camps and all of these things that are happening, and it does. I guess this is what we were hopeful that it would be, and it appears that there is light at the end of the tunnel, my friend.
It does, and that's good. And we were saying at the top, we got to have an organizational meeting today. Everybody got to get together at the stadium, which was a lot of fun, socially distanced,
that's nice.
Of course. But yeah, it's good, and it just feels like you're getting more and more towards normalcy. 30 of the 32 teams have approval to safely open at 100% capacity, including the Browns, Denver, and Indy. They are working towards that, getting all 32. So yeah, I think you're looking at. Other than the fact that you're going to have 17 games for the first time instead of 16, you're looking at a normal season.
Yeah.
Which is great.
You're headed for that, which is awesome. Yeah, and it's good to see. The guys out running on the grass, and I know we got some guys running on grass, and there's teams around the league that do as well, and it's good to see. And we're approaching some bit of normalcy here. I saw this morning. As a pretty big attention getter in terms of and this has basically become PGA Daily too. I mean, we can.
I
do
know
a little
people
bit
are
of that
upset
too.
about
But
that. Listen, I'm sorry.
One guy.
It's
one
on.
guy.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
One
about
guy.
It. It's fun.
Come
And by
on.
the way, this is NFL. This has an NFL tie-in today. So there
It
you go.
absolutely has an NFL tie-in to it. Absolutely. So the latest installment of the match, which will air July 6th.
I can't wait.
On TNT. So this is, of course, probably in honor of your birthday, which is just 2 days before. So it'll be a Zegura birthday bash edition of the match.
Yes.
So it's Mickelson and Tom Brady, who they paired together and lost to Manning and Woods last year, against DeChambeau and Rogers. So I have a million questions about this. Chief among them, how far down the list of people did they get to DeChambeau? How many people did they ask that said no thanks before DeChambeau said yes?
I honestly don't know if it was many, because he's
not exactly a personality.
But he is a heat magnet, and so this is being set up. And I mean, we'll get into what Brady's doing
Koepka would have been
already.
asked first, right?
I would think so, especially after they just played together in the final round.
Yeah, right. So I think Koepka would have been the first call, or Rory. I think Rory, Koepka, Justin Thomas. You're right on being a heat magnet, but you don't really need it. Like, it's unimposed. Like, whoever it is from the PGA Tour, they're going to be fourth fiddle to Mickelson, Brady, and Rogers. So it's not critical.
He's a spectacle, though, I do think, because nobody else plays golf like he does. And you have a chance in this venue to get, I think they need to go get Koepka to be in the Justin Thomas role from a year ago as the on-course commentator.
Yeah.
That needs to happen at this point. But I think it'll be fascinating. I'm excited to see DeChambeau in this. And maybe DeChambeau said, let me do it, and it gives him a chance to show that he does have a personality, and he's not that bad of a guy.
Yeah. I mean, a little bit of a rehab a rehab of personality a little bit.
Sure.
Boy, I'll get back to this in a second. Did you see either of you guys see any of the Mike Tyson doc that was on last night on ABC?
No, so we were just asking for it when we were talking about documentaries we'd want to see. Is it great?
Yes.
Okay, I can't wait. Nice.
Yes. Find it. I don't know where it's on demand. Find it. Seek it out. Incredible footage of him as a teenager in the Catskills with Customato, turning him into the most feared human being on the planet. Just a stunning, just a stunning thing. And we're all of old enough age, and I remember going to closed circuit and watching the fight in Cutbank, Montana against Michael Spinks.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Tyson and Michael Spinks. I remember watching that fight and how big that was. And what brought me on is the rehabilitation of image. They attempted to do that with him, with Barbara Walters, and then like the whole backstory on the Robin Givens just putting herself into the interview is wild. Highly recommend it. And,
there's some
and
dark
that's what got
things
me thinking about
in that story. I mean, very dark things.
There's a lot
in
of
that
dark
story.
things, and yeah, and it actually wrecked her career. Like that interview wrecked her career, which is incredibly unfortunate. Whatever you thought of the way that she handled it, incredibly unfortunate because, as we found out later in life, much of what she said was justified. Whether that was the way to
She
do
was
it or not,
very much the victim in a lot.
very
of
much the victim.
Very
Yes,
bad situations.
yes. Bad spot, man. Bad spot. But it was amazing what led to it. So the episode that ended last night finishes with Buster Douglas knocking him out in the Robin Givens interview. But what I didn't realize was all of the other things that were swirling at that time, enormous life-changing events that led to the knockout by Buster Douglas. But good. It's a really, really good watch.
Oh, I can't
One
wait.
last thing on this. So this is in Montana. They're doing this in Montana, right? This is at the Yellowstone Club in Montana. It says Moonlight Basin. That's Yellowstone Club in Big Sky. This is where Tom Brady lives. You ought to just Google this place and Google the look of this course.
Is it awesome?
Because the one thing, it's stunning, and
Yeah,
it's
I want
ultra
them-
private.
this is
You
good.
can't
I
get
love
on it. Nobody can get on it unless you live there. It's a private residential. I believe it's the only. Certainly, when it was built, it was one of the only. It was the only private ski, private golf communities in the world. So they have their own private ski hill and their own private golf course. And Brady's there, and Ben Affleck's there, and DiCaprio. All these guys are there. All these bigwigs are there. And it's a stunning piece of property. It's amazing that someone was able to purchase it and develop it. But Brady goes
wow.
there, and so that's where this is going to take place. So I'm going to tell you, it's hard to get to. I'm going to be fascinated how they film this. You're not going to run cable here. Like, I don't know how they're going to – I have no idea how they're going to shoot this thing. It's on top of a mountain, guys. It is on top of a mountain, legitimately. So I don't know how they're going to shoot it at all. Additionally, it's at elevation. I mean, it's going to be probably 9,000 or 10,000 feet.
They're going to hit bombs.
So DeChambeau's going to – and the ball's – it's like desert golf up there. There's no humidity. The ball is going to roll forever. DeChambeau will be able to drive it 410.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's beautiful. I'm looking at the website, YellowstoneClub.com, if people want to check out. They have a little video that it looks spectacular. And that's what this should be. I don't
That's what it should
being
be.
at like a Florida course that looks like every other Florida course last time. No, give me something crazy. That's why as I said, Wolf Creek, that's what I want. I want to see something nuts. And this looks this should be great. By the way, I don't know if you've seen, you're not hard of seeing, but you were at the graduation. Have you seen what Tom Brady's doing on Twitter?
I've not.
Oh my God.
What have I missed?
Okay.
Give it to me. Give it to me again. Give it to me.
I'm going to.
I'll give you my – so this will be a completely cleansed first-time account for whatever he's doing. I will be getting this from you. I have not read it. I have no idea what you're even referring to.
Okay.
Go.
Right. Tweet one.
Well, I was at Bootsy. I was with Bootsy.
Tweet one. The Bleacher Report tweets out. He quote tweets that Bleacher Report announces that this match is happening. He quote tweets that. His response first. 2 old guys against the Young Bucks at Phil Mickelson. At B. DeChambeau, better get used to laying up because we know Aaron Rodgers, 12, isn't going for it. Laughing emoji. Okay? Next one. The very next one.
Shots fired.
At 12:46 p.m., he's got the picture of Koepka, eyes closed, disdain, while DeChambeau's just walking behind him. Okay, this is number one. Number one. In front of Koepka, it says, Aaron realizing he has to spend the whole day with Bryson. And in the background, Bryson happy to be here. That's on Bryson is where he says that. Next one, same image. Aaron Rodgers, Koepka's face, eyes closed, complete disgust. In the back, the Packers kicking a field goal down 7 is over DeChambeau's head. That's number 2.
Oh, my God.
Number 3, Aaron and Bryson, Tom, and then he has over Bryson, Tom Brady making memes. He threw in the Packers kicking a field goal down 7 as DeChambeau, Aaron Rodgers as Brooks.
I mean,
incredible 4-tweet sequence.
It's a body bag situation is what it is. I mean, it's put him in a body bag.
Body bag.
It is. it's pretty remarkable because people don't really argue much anymore about him being the greatest quarterback of all time. He's equally good at Twitter.
Somebody's saying it's really annoying that he's just great at everything. Now he's taking over Twitter. Now I mean, absolutely.
How many things are we going to be good at?
Absolutely brutal.
Isn't it interesting how he is also completely unfettered without Belichick? Like, we saw really very little to next to none of this when he was a Patriot. Next to none of it. It was very rare that you saw anything of him as a Patriot. He would do, at the end, he would do those him and Gronk, we ain't going nowhere things.
Yes, which were great.
But you didn't see, like, this type of stuff.
No. Do we think he runs his own Twitter account?
Yes. Yeah,
you say yes.
I do.
I think so, too. I mean, certainly he signed off on that.
There's, at the very least, now he might not be able to do all of the stuff that's being done, so he may have somebody who's doing it, but there's no question that it's somebody of like mind and is being approved by him.
Incredible.
Nothing on that account is going without his approval.
Incredible.
Nothing.
I mean, to bring up the field goal. Oh, I love that. Can I say this? And some other people have gone along similar lines on Twitter. Like, why is it not okay in sports to have some of this? Why have we moved so far away from people being able to talk trash? You get none of it. None of it. And if anybody says something that's like that, it all of a sudden becomes so controversial, they end up having to walk. You can't even tease. Like, if he said that about an NFL game, people would be all up in arms. But because it's about golf and it's not their main sport, people are fun. But trash talk is fun. There should be good guys and people who lean into being the heel. As much as Gibby hated it, I thought when LeBron went to Miami and for a while actually embraced it, it took him a few years. That first year against Dallas, he couldn't. But once he embraced it, it was fun because then you have you have somebody who's saying, "I'm so good, I'm going to win anyway. I want all of you to root against me. I'm going to feed off of that." That's fun. Sports are supposed to be fun. Like a little trash talking. They're all professionals. They're all making good money. Like the stuff that actually gets said
no one's getting
for
hurt.
real. I would love to hear about it. You know, I would love to hear the real, like the trash talk that actually happens. You know, it does happen. And post-game interviews now, it's all cliches and nobody wants to say anything. Like, let's have some fun.
This all starts when they get grabbed when they go to college by the sports information directors, and they grab them. And I've spoken at Ohio State about this and Florida State about this in front of the team. And at the time, they were asking us, to help teach the kids about media, and we would do it. And they work hard at that age when they get them to college with sports information departments to get them to say nothing. They are coached to say nothing. And I'm with you. I think the notion of bulletin board material is nonsense, is largely nonsense. It might be something for the start of a game. I mean, if you think about any trash that's been talked or any sort of bulletin board material, how many times does it come to fruition? Most time the good teams win.
Right.
How many times is when a good team talks trash to a bad team, does the bad team actually use that as motivation and get up and win? It doesn't happen that often. Mostly the good team wins.
Like Juju's the Browns is the Browns.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Good.
Fine.
Good for
and
you.
Guess what? The Steelers, if we want to go into the records of the last decade, have a right to say whatever they want about it. Now we beat them. Now the Browns aren't the Browns that he was referring to.
Right.
And that's great. And that's how the trash talk happens. And then you go ahead and you stop the trash talk because you silence them. It was funny. My dad, Pedro, of course, you can imagine, can't stand, celebrations in the end zone. This, that, act like, of course.
No, uniformity.
Like, come on. I love all of it.
He spent his entire life trying to put a yoke on you.
I know, and now I'm free of that yoke.
Now you're unfettered.
And unfortunately, his house is not free of the yoke of termites. They had to bag that bad boy up, and Pedro's roaming around the streets of the Bay Area right now. He's out of his abode for 3 days.
He's he's in the elements.
He's out in the elements.
No, of course not.
No, of course they've got other places to stay, other domiciles. But
clearly, but I mean, just the idea of him just wandering around the streets looking for a place because he's in a tent. He's got a termite tent. Less than ideal.
It's great.
I mean, that's not ideal. He just got that TV hung not long ago.
Right. It's true. He did. Yes, he did.
Yeah,
but
that's not great.
I'm
I'm with you, though. I think this stuff's great, and I do think if you're looking for a positive, of social media, other than like your relatives being able to see your kids if they don't live near you. The other positive thing with social media is I think it has allowed for some of these guys' as true personalities to come through a little bit. And I think it's good.
It is good.
Yeah. It's interesting. Be interesting.
Be fun. A little trash talk is fun. It adds to everything.
No harm.
No harm. Just have a little fun. Yeah, celebrations are great. And I always say to my dad, if you don't want him to celebrate, don't let him score.
Stop him.
Then you get to dictate what happens. You can't stop me.
Yeah, and life ain't fair, man.
No.
Sort
We're not
it
trying
out.
to become robots. Personality.
No.
I think that's one of the
I
reasons
agree.
I love that we're getting this out of Brady now that he's in Tampa, because NFL players, because they play in a helmet, because everything is so buttoned up about how they speak, etc. It's nice to get a feel for who these guys really are. It's fun. That's fun.
Yeah.
But if you're going to talk it,
I think
you got to back it up.
Yeah, and I think it contributes to, if you think about most franchises historically in our sport, and you think about the dynasty aspect of them, whether it was us in the 50s, going into the 60s, whether it was the Steelers in the 70s, the 49ers certainly of the 80s, the Cowboys of the late 80s, early 90s. Most of those franchises are looked back upon very fondly, whether you're a fan of them or not.
Of course.
The same is not true of New England, because New England wasn't interesting. New England had a sense to it. There was you had Spygate, Deflategate, all that stuff, and beyond that, though, it was a robotic machine. It was a machine. There wasn't this fun personality to it. Like, obviously, we don't love the Steelers here, but when you have Mean Joe Green and Franco Harris and Bradshaw, you have these personalities that are out there that you can grab onto. You think of the 49ers teams of the 80s that you were so fond of. Even people who had teams that rooted against them, they didn't hate them.
No.
You wanted to beat them, but you didn't despise them. Most people with the Patriots' success, unless you lived in New England or Boston, despised them. And I think that's part of it. They were so vanilla in the way that they went about their business, in terms of the way that they were curated.
And that's why Gronk was so great, because Gronk was the one guy that just
he was the only guy.
did not fit that mold.
No.
And
No.
Which made him fun. Even Randy Moss went there and kind of, I mean, what an unbelievable season they had. I think it was 2007 when they had that absurd year.
When they were undefeated.
And Randy was so great. But yeah, I think it's just fun. I think life is it's got to be fun. It's got to be fun. You have to focus. You have to take care of your business, but let a little personality out. Like, that's fun. And for Brady to say that, because Brady probably, if the roles were reversed, would be just as pissed as Aaron Rodgers.
Yes, he would be.
What do you mean we're kicking a field goal?
Yeah.
In this case, I am the MVP of the league this year. And I believe they were down 8, not 7, which is a little bit of a knock on his meme, if I'm not mistaken. I think they were down 8.
Yes,
I'm the MVP. We're going for it. You want the ball in my hand.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Do you wonder why Manning isn't involved? Because he was really one of the stars, both for his play and him on the mic.
Maybe he said, I only roll with Tiger.
I only roll with Tiger. Yeah.
That's our team. Let's see.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
All right, coming up next, Greg Rosenthal with his projected AFC North starters. So we're going to do this next week, right? Are we going to get into this next week? We're going to do some of these things next week with best positions and stuff.
We're going to compare.
And Greg will be on with us next week.
Yeah.
So he has projected starters. He has a projected starters for us. Goes through our roster and our depth chart. We'll take a look at that coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Beau Bishop here, Cleveland Browns Daily. Memorial Day almost here. It's time to call my friends at Perfect Power Wash. Stop neglecting your home. Make it look beautiful again. Protecting your biggest investment from those crazy replacement costs that you all know are about there. Get their help. They're the pros at Perfect Power Wash. Whether it's siding, roof, driveway, deck, or patio, they are experts on restoring your home's curb appeal and making your neighbors jealous in the process. Now it's time to take advantage of the Memorial Day sale. Use the promo code BEAU. Save 10%. Hurry, this promotion does end soon. So call the pros today at 888-860-WASH and refresh your home right now. Get it done. Greg Rosenthal, who will be on with us next week on the program. Go ahead, Z.
I just want to jump in and say that after that read, which I felt had great passion, I wanted to add some real-world perspective to it because they came in and power washed my house. They did an incredible job. They were so professional while they were there, and it looks great. It almost makes you feel like your house is new, which is a wonderful thing.
That's right.
You can't really – you can go in the shower and freshen up. Your house doesn't have a shower it can go to. It needs Perfect Power Wash to come and be that shower. And, boy –
that's right.
It appreciates it, and you will too.
Well, what a job out of you.
It's true.
What a job out of you right
it's
there.
True.
Yeah, that's true. And you lived it. Yeah. I'm waiting for the landscape stuff to be done, and then we'll be all set. And then we'll have them out here.
Backing
and we'll get
you
it
up.
all.
Yeah.
Get it. You ain't lying, brother. All right, listen, this is from Greg Rosenthal. He's slated to join us next week on the program. So he went through the projected AFC North starters. Is there any umbrage you'll take with this list that he put forth for us?
No, I really don't think so. I think this is probably your starting base. What I would say is because it's reflective of nickel in the cornerback room, that I would almost co-list Billings and tack McKinley, and people say, well, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense, as co-starters. And the reason I say that is because I think in pass rushing situations, it'll be Garrett, McKinley, Clowney, and Malik. And where you're in run situations, that's where you'll get Miles, Malik, Billings, and Clowney. But if we have three corners on the field, that is more indicative to me of a passing situation. So that's the only thing I would say is that McKinley, I believe in him. I'm bullish on Tack McKinley. So I'd put him down as a starter. The other would be, I think Greg Newsome, Greedy Williams is a competition. And I think Ronnie Harrison, Grant Delpit, if there's a two-safety look, is a competition to see who's out there with John Johnson III. But everything else I think is pretty right on.
Yeah, those would be that's what jumped out to me looking at the safety, and I think that's going to be fascinating. They're all three so interchangeable, and I think for sure John Johnson's going to be out there.
Yeah,
all
I don't
the
think
time.
he's coming off the field.
No, I think he plays every snap, regardless where you are. Same would be true of Denzel Ward. And then the greedy aspect of that will be fascinating. He goes with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah at one of the linebackers alongside Anthony Walker. You see Jock out there playing. You hear how our coaches talk about him, and you say, well, yeah, I think that makes some sense, provided there aren't setbacks, that he provides just some things that our other linebackers don't.
Jock? Is that what we're going with?
You didn't hear that? You
No.
didn't hear that on Building the Browns? Well, that's what they called him. They're calling him Jock. Joe Woods called him Jock. I like it.
I don't know if I do.
You don't?
For reasons.
Joe Woods does. Are you gonna go at Joe Woods?
No, I like JOK. I think JOK, I like the way that sounds. Or
I don't know. I feel like Woods wouldn't have said it on Building the Browns unless it was an approved nickname.
Perhaps. Next time I interview him, I'm gonna say, have you ever been called Jock before?
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see. JOK on the spelling, not like Jacques Cousteau.
Correct. Yeah, but I don't know if you can get phonetically. I don't know if we can get there with a JOK to a jock. I don't know.
You don't think?
I don't know.
Well, the one that you wore as a kid, as an athlete, was spelled JOCK.
That's right.
It's close.
Yeah, but that C has a big impact on that O, as we know, in a variety of words.
Well, valid. You think he's got a good shot? I think there's a great shot he starts, though, regardless.
Yeah.
JOK, Jock, or Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I think really likely he starts.
Yeah. He's incredibly impressive. Incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
Both on the field, off the field, in the meeting room, in the playbook. Everything about him.
Yeah.
Impressive.
This is from Rosenthal on Baker Mayfield. He said Baker Mayfield played so much better down the stretch after his so-so first 2 months under Kevin Stefanski. Mayfield simply maintaining that level would be enough for the Browns to realize their offensive goals and for Mayfield to earn his second contract. That's what he had to say about Baker. Look, there's no real question on this roster. There's no holes.
No.
So, I mean, we could go through every position group that he goes through here, and all of them are going to be pretty glowingly. There's no weakness. It's a complete and comprehensive roster with depth at all the positions that you want depth at. He has the 3 receivers as Beckham, Landry, and Higgins. Is Schwartz play a big role in that in terms of his ability to take the top off if he can get up to speed quickly? Yeah, I think so. I think that's a different thing that he adds to this team. I think that's fascinating what they'll be able to do with him.
Agreed, and I think this is, I think Rosenthal sums up our argument with Mr. Dubin yesterday about this receiver group when he said there's no depth and it's not that good, is that you were one of the most efficient and prolific passing offenses in the NFL over the second half of the season without Odell Beckham Jr. You add him, you add the speed of Schwartz, and you still have Jarvis, Hollywood, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and it's being reported, Jake Trotter said that Browns by Brad is reporting that Kadarius Hodge will be signing his tender today as well to get back in the mix with the wide receiving group and obviously special teams units. I like the way he says this, and then I like the way he talks about tight ends. They have 3 tight ends, varying skill sets, even if none are stars. It won't be a surprise if second-year pro Bryant winds up starting. He played as much as big-ticket free agent Austin Hooper. I still think Austin Hooper is in line for some good things. Bryant and Njoku have more juice than Hooper, and from an athletic standpoint, that I agree with. I would imagine long-term, that's you're going to take over with those 2, but I think right off here, Austin Hooper is also not necessarily a smart move.
Yeah, and you saw our guys. I mean, I saw him down at Hoop's golf tournament. Kareem Hunt looked pretty good there, and Hoop was there, and Njoku was there, and the tellers were there.
Where was it?
Exciting to see. I don't know. I couldn't tell. It was hilly.
I'd like to play some golf.
My hunch says, isn't Hoop a California kid?
He is. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So,
nice
you wonder if that's where he is.
Yeah, sure. I also like this. Nick Chubb
Yeah.
and Kareem Hunt are the best running back tandem in football, and it's not particularly close. If you are grading running backs on a scale of 1 to 5, no one else can be a 5 except for the Browns running backs. That's what Greg Rosenthal said.
That's interesting. He said that.
He listens.
That he added that he said that specifically.
Yeah, he must listen to the show.
Because you took particular umbrage with that yesterday.
And I feel like we got an acknowledgement that we were in the right on our particular side of
that. Sometimes silence can be the most powerful response.
That's right. Yeah, you kind of could, yeah.
And then just nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, you win.
Well, Alvin Kamara is good. Yeah, but if he gets hurt, do they have Kareem Hunt? Yeah.
No, they don't. And you were so ready. You didn't even have to do it. Normally in those circumstances, in a litigation circumstances, the loyal listeners of this program know you like to lead a witness. You like to really lead them right to the water. In this case, you just didn't have to. Like your case was so great that there was no reason to lead. You could just approach it directly and still get the same result, which I thought was
which
was
is
a good
fun
job
when sometimes ridiculous allegations are made when the truth is completely clear. You just have to let the truth speak for itself.
Yeah, it'll set you free, as people say. It will set you free. All right, coming up, we will do at the top of the hour. We will hit you with rankings 14 through 5 on the power rankings. So, this will be exciting.
Beau, just so you know, as we were kicking off the show, I actually did this yesterday on the way out of the show and then did it again as we were opening the show and just gave Gibbe a little grief because, as you well know, we are doing the power rankings over the course of 4 days. There are 32 teams in the National Football League, which is naturally a number divisible by 4, so you could do 4 sections of 8 quartiles, if you will, of rankings. And instead we have decided to go like 11, then 5, and then 9, and then 4 to get to 32. If that even adds up to 32, I'm not sure. But the point is valid that we have not done the same number at any point in this. I think we started with 10.
An even number.
Right.
Yeah. Wasn't a prime number.
No. It was in fact, divisible by 4.
So we're clear. The only reason
listen to this
I gave us a few more teams on Monday. It was a slower day.
Had one guest or something that day.
Yeah. Okay. Yesterday we had multiple guests. We had a lot going on.
Yep.
I didn't think we could get through it all. So I had less guests.
Yeah, but the irony is, correct me if I'm wrong, but we still went 22, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yesterday we actually did do 8.
Yeah, you did 8.
So we did 10 and then 8.
And today and Monday were kind of slower days.
Yes. Today we've got
like if you guys want to just do 6 today
we
do the
back
final
to 10.
8 tomorrow, we can do that.
So we
go
10, 8, 10,
Let me ask
4.
you this.
I like that.
before we get into this, how many of because what I would group the first group as Super Bowl contenders, what number do you get to on this list to say Super Bowl contender?
Before with the cutoff at 5, you're saying?
No, just
No. What's the number you would cut off and say that's not a contender?
9.
Someone's generous.
Everybody in my
I'm
top
probably
9,
closer to. I would say closer to 7 for me. Closer to 7. So probably if
7
we
or
would have
9.
went to 8,
It was
we would
7
have been
or
on
9
it.
for me. I was either going to make the cut at 7
All
or
right.
once I went to 8, I felt
You
like
can
I'd
go
go
to
9.
8 today. You can go to 4 today.
No. You're
No,
the giant
you laid
P.
this
We're
out.
just
You're the
Ps.
huge P.
and
We
this
follow
is,
what
follow
you
this.
say.
This is the other
10,
thing.
8, 10, 4.
This
Duh.
is the other thing that
How
I
do you
had
break
told
up
you
32
guys.
in
Yeah.
4
Or
parts?
I had told Nathan, because Nathan made
10,
it a
8, 10,
point
4.
yesterday to get my you know what about it. I
Shocker.
said,
Your hug?
look,
Him
like,
big-
this
him
way
coming
I
at
can
you.
break down the trends. Like you had this, you had all these teams from the NFC North. You had this. You do your Final Four, and then it's like, okay, where did I, what divisions did I favor? Which ones did I not? Like little surprise takeaways from it.
Yeah, because if we were doing the final 8, there would be we couldn't do any analysis of the prior 24. That's
No.
smart. No, that's good.
Yeah.
We needed to be at least at 28.
So
to have
14 through
analysis.
5.
A live spearing. on the
14
air
through
is coming.
5.
14 through. That's what we're doing.
14
14
through
through
5.
5. I think
14
this is
through
going to
5
become.
will be at the top of the hour.
We're going to be setting
Yeah.
trends. I think from now on, power rankings over the course of 4 days of 32 teams is going to be the 10-8, 10-4. They're going to call it the Gibbe. 10-8, 10-4.
His job, our job on this show, and his job is to be the giant P of this show,
And
is
he
to
is.
keep it interesting.
Yeah.
Keep the
Nest.
people on their toes.
That's right.
I just gave you
No,
4
we get
minutes of
10
content
teams.
you wouldn't have had otherwise.
That's right.
Wouldn't have had. It's valid.
We didn't even address the defense. Rosenthal, I realized, had so many defensive comments, but once he added there really was nothing else he had to read once he said, if you're grading running backs on a scale from 1 to 5, the Browns are 5 and no one else
Yeah.
can be a 5. I thought that there's
That
more.
was the.
That
That's
was
it.
That's it.
Nothing
Costanza.
else to add.
That's it, Rosenthal.
That's
High
it.
note.
Walk out. All right. See you later. 14 through 5 at the top of the hour. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Second hour here, Cleveland Browns Daily, on a First Friday edition of the program. And Beau Bishop from my great friends at Weather Seal Home Services. Are you having problems with your roof? Give them a call.
Yeah.
They'll take care of you. Weather Seal Home Services. Get a beautiful new roof. You can get it in a week. It's $1 down. It's free gutters during the Weather Seal Spring Roofing Sale. You can't beat that. At Weather Seal, you also get up to 7 years, 0 interest. That's 7 years, 0 interest on that, guys. Approved credit, reducing your monthly payment. That's a win for everybody. Trust in Weather Seal to do the job right. The best price and the lowest monthly payments. Don't call anyone else. Call them and do it today, 877-351-SEAL, or go to weathersealhomeservices.com. All right, so we're going 5 through 14 here. I would say that for me, it's interesting. I would bet a decent amount that you and I, because you said 7 or 9 contenders.
Yep.
I would bet a decent amount of your money that we have the same 7 or 9, or the same 9. Maybe not the same 7.
Yeah.
But I bet we have the same top 9 in some order. Because to me, 10 through 14, now they're
10 through 14 weren't any different to me than 17, 16, 15, honestly.
correct. You could talk me into swings in any of these. And the top 9 I think is separate. So that's where we are. I'll be curious if we have the same top 9. And all of these teams, much like I think you could probably go from like really 16, 17, in there, all of these are these are all playoff teams. These are all playoff teams.
Right, you can see the path to it for sure.
Absolutely. And there's even I don't know if these teams, the first ones we get to, I don't know that these are necessarily win around teams, but they're wild card teams, that type of stuff going forward. All right, number 4, go ahead.
A quick little news in from Tom Pelissero says that NFL owners have just improved a 90-man roster to start training camp this year. Source said with cuts to 85 on August 17th, 80 on August 24th, and then 53 on August the 31st. Wow. So 10 gone
90 to 53.
10 gone in a month, and then you've got to go 80 to 53, which is
wow.
That's 27, big number.
That's a big number.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely is. And for us, there aren't a lot of spots up for grabs. All right, let's get to it. Number 14 for you.
All right, number 14 for me, and just a refresh for everybody really quickly because we were kind of talking about that 18 down range. For us, 22 was Vegas, Minnesota, 21 Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, 20 Atlanta, 19 New England, 18 Vikings, Miami, 17 Dallas, New Orleans, 16 Tennessee, Washington football team, 15 Washington football team, and the Steelers, which brings us to 14. And this is a team, I like their young quarterback. I like a lot of their talent. I just don't know if they're real or not. I like some of the stars. Bosa's a great player, so I have the LA Chargers at 14. And not strong on them. The next 3 teams, I'm not strong on them at all. Like I said, 14, 15, 12 could easily be 18, 17, 16 for me.
Yeah, I agree with you on that front. And my 14 was the Tennessee Titans, and I think they're definitely a team trending in the wrong direction. I don't love the stock in them. I don't love how they didn't attempt to get better at wide receiver despite letting people walk. But I do have tremendous amount of respect for Vrabel and for Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill begrudgingly, but over the last few years he's proven it. Bud Dupree adds a little bit for them on the pass rush that they didn't have a year ago. But yeah, I could trade these guys I have Miami 18. I could trade them and not be convinced one way or the other. It just came down to I like Tannehill more than I like Tua at this point, or the New England situation. I went with quarterbacks when it was close, and I like him a little bit more, but I definitely think this team is trending in the wrong direction, and there's been a lot of momentum with them on Julio Jones as well. And I don't know if they could even make it work, but that would be something that would answer a lot of questions. And I think it'd be something he'd be interested in, frankly. I think Nashville's a really attractive city, and if that was something where he landed there, I think that could be a nice little addition to their team.
Sure. So they need somebody to replace Corey Davis, which they have not gotten. That's not just replacing him. That is that's a major upgrade. It's Julio Jones.
Yeah. Number 13 for you.
This is where I had the New Orleans Saints, and this is just a bet on, and like I said, very similar to everybody before. This is just saying Sean Payton has been a great coach. I don't think it's 100% Drew Brees. They went 6-0 with Teddy Bridgewater. They've got the makings of a very solid defense, although some changes occurred this offseason with, Trey Hendrickson, for example. So that's kind of just organizationally, I think they're strong. And they still have Kamara. They got nothing out of Michael Thomas last year. I would expect that to change this year. And I think they're going to figure out a way to be innovative and to win some games. So I have the Saints here at 13. But they don't feel like a Super Bowl threat at all to me.
These teams aren't for me.
Right.
The ones we're talking about aren't. These are I can see a scenario where they make the playoffs, but it's one and done. It's a quick exit because they're flawed. All these teams have flaws. For me at least, that we're talking about. I have the Cowboys here at 13. I think a healthy Dak playing with they have so many weapons. They're going to score so many points. They should be better defensively. And I that's just such a bad division. And I just like their offense more than I like the other teams. It basically comes down to, do I like Washington's defense more than Dallas's offense? It's about a push. I could be talked in either way. I got Washington 16. I got Dallas 13. You could flip them, and I'm not going to give you much of an argument. It's just a matter of which one you believe in a little bit more. Cowboys the last few years, 16. They're 13-3, 17, 9-7, 10-6 and 18, 8-8 and 19, and then fell off the cliff last year.
Sure.
But they have a ton of their offense is loaded. Absolutely loaded with firepower. So I went with the Cowboys there at 13. But again, acknowledging not a contender in any way. All right, number 12 for you.
Number 12 for me, the Miami Dolphins. And so their roster is so good.
Good.
I definitely don't think Tua is great, but I think Tua just has to be middling for them to win 9 or 10 games. And if he happens to be
when I was going through it, and I said, and you put Deshaun Watson on this team, and they're in the top
group. 4.
Put them in. They're that good. It's an incredible roster they've assembled, and they still have even more assets that they can use. They have a ton of picks still coming. It's a really, really nice roster. It's just an incredible, in my view, and I said this when we talked about him yesterday, to me, in my view, it's just an incredible belief in someone who I don't know warrants it. I just didn't see it from him. I didn't see it from him in college. He just had an incredibly long delivery. He's not a spectacular athlete in any way. There's nothing he does that's off the charts. He's just very solid, and to me, I don't buy into it. But the rest of the roster is unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable.
Yes.
And it's interesting because I have the Chargers here at 12. So much of what you said about them, agree. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to like about this Chargers team. The question is, in year 2, can Justin Herbert back it up? Can he back up what he did in year 1, which kind of came out of the blue for me, at least?
Sure.
Absolutely came out of the blue for me. I didn't think he would have that type of impact right away. He did. And can an organization? They are one of those organizations that just hasn't really done it.
Right.
You know, it's almost
they get so close and can't win.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
It's like, why can't you do it? It doesn't feel like, the sum of their parts should equal more than what they consistently get out of as an organization. And some teams are just snake bitten like that. They got everything going for them. They look beautiful in the new uniforms. They got a great young quarterback. The coaching change ought to help. But again, I do not see them making any noise. And that's really, again, them and Miami could be interchangeable very easily for me. Number 11 for you.
Number 11, the Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts, I like what they've got from an entire roster standpoint. Do I love their quarterback? I do not love their quarterback in Carson Wentz, but this is a great defense. They've got an excellent running game with Jonathan Taylor. They've got some good weapons outside with T.Y. Hilton and Pittman Jr. I think this is a talented squad. I like them, and if they had a quarterback I was more excited about, they would be higher on my list.
So you're going to hear from them in just a second on me, and just so I don't say all the same things you said. They went 11-5 last year with Phil Rivers as the quarterback, a diminished Phillip Rivers. I do not in any way believe in Carson Wentz, but if anyone can get him along, you feel like it might be Frank Wright. And he might be able to do enough.
Yep.
And he also can add a little element from the run game that Rivers couldn't add. Their roster's really good. It's really good. It's deep. It's an incredible offensive line. It's a good defense. This is a really good roster. I have them at number 10. At number 11, I have Arizona. And for me, the issue with the Cardinals just comes down to the guy who looks great sitting in that house on draft day, but the acumen, I don't know if it's there on game day. They've got a ton of talent, and I think he calls decent ball plays. But it does seem like this moment might be a little too big for him. And consistently when you watch them play, they do stupid stuff in the second half of games. And I just trust Frank Wright more than I trust Cliff Kingsbury. And that's why I have Indy ahead of Arizona. But Arizona's offense is downright terrifying. It's downright terrifying. And I'm very curious what they do at linebacker. They got Zaven Collins. They got Isaiah Simmons.
Yep.
They're apparently just going to let them run and let them make plays, and both of them are kind of positionless. I'm curious to see how that goes. But for me, the reason that Indy's ahead of Arizona is just at the coaching level. I just don't believe in Kingsbury.
That's fair. And at number 10, I have Arizona. So I have Arizona, Indy.
Just swapped them.
I just swapped them right there.
So we have the same 9.
Yeah, not a surprise. I think
I'm
curious to see our order. I think there's certainly one team that I think you'll be higher on than I am because your adopted son plays
and I
for
think
them.
vice versa.
Yeah, probably.
I think we know the two teams.
Yep, they're in the same division.
Yeah. I think you do it right. You know exactly.
All right, so you had Indy 10?
Absolutely. I had Indy 10,
Okay.
and you had Arizona 10.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so number.
Yeah, it just comes down to it's Kingsbury there. Everything else
Totally
is fantastic.
fine.
That's it.
Totally
Yeah.
fine.
Number 9.
Number 9, I've got the Seattle Seahawks. Obviously, Russ is as talented as it gets in the game. I like Russ. I like what he brings to the table. They've got, with Metcalf and Lockett, and now they added Dwayne Eskridge. I think they've got some real talent. They've got Chris Carson. I just think it's a good team. They can win any game, and Russ is phenomenal. They were 12-4 last year, losing a very surprising game to the Rams, which I think sparked a lot of controversy there. But that's why I made my cutoff 9. Like I don't feel comfortable saying Russell Wilson can't win a Super Bowl because he can.
Yeah, and I could have gone 7 or 9. The two teams that we're going to have in different view of are Seahawks and the 49ers. So I have the 49ers at number 9. You say to yourself, can I see the 49ers winning a Super Bowl? Well, yeah, 2 years ago, they're a play here or play there from winning a Super Bowl.
Yep.
The thing I don't like is what they did at quarterback. Because I don't know if you can get a successful season out of Jimmy Garoppolo having drafted his successor. So if you go to Lance, can I see them winning a Super Bowl with Lance? No, I can't. I can't see him winning a Super Bowl with Lance, a guy who played 1 year in college and 1 game. No, I can't see that. And can Garoppolo have the belief that he had 2 years ago when he led him to that spot? It's an awesome roster. It's an awesome
great
roster. And if they were able to have traded for Deshaun Watson, they would be in my top 4. They'd be in my top 3. They're great. They're great. And he's a great coach. I just don't like the quarterback situation there. I think that's tough to get over. So that's why I have San Francisco at number 9.
Okay.
Number 8 for you.
Number 8 for me, the Baltimore Ravens. I think they lost some pass rush on defense. Still questions around Lamar's ability to lead them deep into the playoffs with his style of play. There's no doubt he is the most electric guy on the field when he plays. But I just have a few questions about that Ravens team. Still very good, and certainly in my they can win the Super Bowl window.
So you went 9 on teams that could win it, and I went 7. I have same Ravens at 8. You have to have won a playoff game for me to believe you can win a Super Bowl, and I think that's something they just haven't done. They haven't done it. They haven't proven that they can win a playoff game, and to me. They're a tremendous regular season team and a team who can certainly make noise, but they got to get over that hump a little bit. So for me, the Ravens are 8. I could see it. I like them. I mean, I fully respect them, and they're the most able team in terms of our division to compete with us. But I have the Ravens 8 as well.
They beat Tennessee, I want to say, in the first round of the playoffs last year. And then they lost to the Bills on Saturday before we lost to the Chiefs on Sunday. So they did win a game.
They won. Yeah, that's right. You're right. I had that wrong. Is that right?
Yeah, they won one playoff game and then lost to the Bills the day before we lost to the Chiefs.
That's right. So I misspoke. Yeah.
But
right.
the
still,
point,
Ravens 8, and I still don't see them as a Super Bowl team.
That's why my cutoff was 7 or 9. And so for me, 7 are going to be the Matt Stafford-led L.A. Rams. I think Stafford's going to be great there. Tutu Atwell brings some speed. Deshaun Jackson brings some speed. The defense, though, I'm not going to ignore the fact that I think John Johnson and Troy Hill are big losses for that team from that defense. So I have them at 7, but in both of our absolutely can win the Super Bowl discussions.
Here I have the Seattle Seahawks at 7. As you said, I can absolutely see a scenario where they get it together and Russell Wilson goes and wins a Super Bowl. I can see it. They're dangerous. I don't know what happened to them at the end of last year. They've got a new offensive coordinator situation there, obviously, now, and we'll see how that goes. But I just have such respect for Russell Wilson that I have Seattle at number 7 on this. And this begins my list of teams that can win the Super Bowl, and I could envision them winning the Super Bowl. But it's not that far-fetched for San Francisco and the Ravens, in my view, either. Number 6 for you.
Number 6, the San Francisco 49ers. And this is, look, Jimmy Garoppolo has been a very good quarterback whenever he has started for them. They love Lance, and if anybody can get a rookie quarterback to play at a high level, I mean, they did it with RG3 in Washington. I have no doubt that Kyle Shanahan can do it. Their defense gets healthy. They've got studs at all 3 levels. So I think that this is a very, very complete roster and football team. They need Nick Bosa to be back and to be healthy, and if he is, I think that this is a team that can be as good as anybody.
Number 6 for me, your Los Angeles Rams. I think that it's incredible that McVay's never had a losing record. They've won, and they transitioned from the Goff, Gurley to what they've been the last 2 years. They've won despite it all. Big losses, and we're the beneficiaries of it in the secondary. Obviously, they have to replace those guys. There's going to be a cost at that. But I am a big, as we know from our time hosting DLD, I'm a big believer in Matthew Stafford. And I think that he has never played under a coordinator, someone calling plays like this. He has never played in an offense that will have this type of complete weaponry that they have there. And I think he will thrive. And I think Tutu Atwell, that's the deep threat they need. Deshaun Jackson's the deep threat they need. Between the two of them, they can work that together. You got Woods and Kupp underneath. Akers running it. I think I can see them making moves, and I think people will see what Stafford's capable of, and I think it'll be quite a bit. Yeah. Number 5 for you. This is our last one.
Number 5, I have got, under the theory that Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, I've got the Green Bay Packers here. Great.
Yeah.
One of the best quarterbacks in the league. Stud. Defense has some talented pieces. I think that they, have 2 good running backs in Jones and Dillon. I like Amari Rodgers. I think Amari Rodgers was a nice pick for them out of Clemson. He was the guy you said had a real nice game against Ohio State, and now you're going to have him kind of in that Randall Cobb role in the middle of the field, which is something they have not had, that reliable guy in the middle of the field. Tanyan really came on. So I like the Packers, and I have them at number 5.
I went Buffalo here, and full respect and belief in who they are. They are a Super Bowl contender. To me, it is us and them as the most logical and best equipped to challenge Kansas City in the AFC, not just now, but for the foreseeable future. The roster's great. Allen's been incredible. The only thing that kept them behind, for example, the Packers, who you had at 5 for me, was just Rodgers versus Allen. And did everything we see last year from Allen, is it all real? And I just goes back to maybe a misevaluation for me years ago on him. And it appears that I'm dead wrong on him, but I still just have a little bit of doubt. But I can absolutely see Buffalo winning the Super Bowl. I think it's absolutely in play, and I have such respect for them.
I love their defense. Poyer, Hyde, Tre'Davious White on the back.
Yeah, they're good.
I love that.
They're really special.
Real quickly, before we know we're at the Final 4 here. Brooks Koepka responded to the announcement of this match and just said, "Sorry, bro," at Aaron Rodgers for having a team with Bryson DeChambeau.
Jeez.
This is what we need. This is great.
But DeChambeau seems humorless. I wonder how he will be he's such a cyborg. I just wonder how he will be in that. I'm fascinated by it. And I think the setting is going to make it, all the better. Because you're going to be seeing golf in a place. You've never seen golf in a place like this, not on television. I mean, this is Tahoe times a million.
It's going to be incredible.
It's on top of a mountain. I mean, it's going to be absolutely crazy. Speaking of can't wait to talk to Chris Kiffin, our defensive line coach. He's got a little bit of talent to work with.
Yeah.
Look forward to getting a little scouting report of what he's seen from our rookies. We will do that coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. If you're sick and tired of your outdated kitchen, this is the perfect time to upgrade to a new modern design at Northeast Factory Direct. Cabinets include all the upgrades: solid wood, full extension drawer glides, cushion closed drawers and doors. And the best part, the process is super simple. Make an appointment, bring in some basic measurements. Kitchen designer going to walk you through the design on an interactive big screen so you can see how it will look. What a win that is. Appointment and design are free, and there's no obligation, guys. They'll let you take it with you. They also have 0% financing available, so that's a win for everybody there. So if you're thinking about remodeling your kitchen, go to northeastfactorydirect.com and schedule your appointment today.
Got him.
Very good, very good. Good to hear that. All right, let's head on the hotline and visit with our defensive line coach, Chris Kiffin, who joins us. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time, man. We know you're very busy and appreciate you giving us a little bit of it, and there's a lot to get to here. And let's just start with this, because rookie minicamp has been the most recent thing that we've seen, and we've seen it on some of the great Building the Brown stuff that we've seen. And I'm watching Bill Callahan, and he's got one guy that he's working with. And you got some guys there now, man. You got some guys to work with and some big-time talented guys as well. What was it like to get those guys in there and get to work with them?
Oh, man, it was a lot of fun. Getting back on the grass, for us, it's been a number of months, but then to get the rookies right in here after drafting them, all the excitement of getting those guys on your team, and then, getting them in the building basically 2 weekends later with an opportunity to go on the field, work with them, get to know them a little bit, because with no combine, really didn't get to know these guys very much at all, other than a couple of FaceTime interviews. So being around those guys and working with them, it's been a blast so far.
Coach, we'll start in the interior of the defensive line, because that's where you had most of your guys here at this rookie minicamp. But it wasn't that long ago where, we were sitting here with 4 defensive tackles on the roster, period. And then in one quick strike, Damian Squares, a 9-year veteran, gets added. Togiai gets added. You get Marvin Wilson, who a lot of people thought was going to be a first-round pick in the all too early 2021 mocks. And then Malik McDowell, we'll talk about him in a second. But I don't know if there's a more competitive room on the roster all of a sudden than the defensive tackle group.
Yeah, and I feel it. Andrew Barry, Coach Stefanski, all these guys did a phenomenal job of getting these guys in here. And like you said right away, competitive. Because at the end of the day, there is a limited number of spots, 53 guys for a roster. So you can only have so many D linemen.
Right.
I'll try to carry 15, but I don't know if they'll let me. But we'll get, once we get rolling in training camp and all that, it's a good problem to have. Like you said, you had veteran presence. You have some younger guys that are coming in hungry, and then a guy like Malik who's on his, second chance, so to say, to get this thing right. So a lot of competition, super excited when we actually get to that point. But right now we're just, taking it day by day, working with these guys, getting incrementally better.
Coach, it's interesting you said in that first answer about get to know these guys. College football fans know these guys, these rookies, real well. Recruiting people know these guys. You're talking about high-end physical ability with Togiai, and Wilson was the number 1 defensive tackle in the country coming out of high school. Malik McDowell, we're in Buckeye country. Remember him from Michigan State, certainly. When you think about the athletic profile that was brought in here with those 3 guys specifically, what do you see, and is it translating to what you're seeing on the field?
Yeah, and you're exactly right. And the funny thing is, I actually sat in Marvin Wilson's family room with him and Miss Sybil, his mom, and tried to convince him to go to Ole Miss when I was there. So I was very familiar with him.
Wow.
And then sometimes I forget that Cleveland, that Ohio State is right up the road, but I had a lot of neighbor friends remind me when we drafted Tommy that he was a Buckeye and how fired up they were. So, yeah, these guys, they're household names in college football, and now they're getting their chance to compete and try to make a name for themselves at this level. But, yeah, physically, both these guys got it. Very hungry, eager. It's just been an absolute blast, having these guys in here for 2 weeks now. I think we've been on the field probably 8 times together now, 9 times, something like that. So it's been a lot of fun with both those guys.
What's kind of, if you were to give, one word to give your initial impressions on what you've seen from Togiai, Wilson, and McDowell in particular, what would they be?
Well, it's a little bit hard because they're all different. Malik McDowell, he's 6'6",
he is
290 pounds. Just
insane.
He's long.
He looks crazy on the field. When we walked out there, Mika, you're like, your eyes are me like, who is that guy? He kind of looks like Calais Campbell out there. He's so big.
Absolutely right. Yeah, he'd be the first guy off the bus on game day, no doubt. Yeah. And then Tommy, Tommy's just an explosive guy, plays with good pad level, really exploding out of his hips and quick twitched and strong as can be. I think he bench pressed over 40 sometimes at his pro day. And then Marvin's kind of a little bit of both. He's probably 6'3 plus, 300 pounds, moving really well. Very strong guy. So all three of those guys are different type of players, different in body types and all that stuff, but all of them have the traits that we look for in a D lineman.
Yeah, they are different body types. That's a very good point because, you mentioned Malik just so long. Togiai seems very kind of compact and just powerful. And when you watch Marvin Wilson on tape and even getting to see him, that day that we were able to be out there for the rookie minicamp, and I don't know if he just kind of reminds me of Warren Sapp, which is obviously if he's anything close to Warren Sapp, that would be one of the greatest finds ever as an undrafted free agent. But similar, it feels to me, body, but moves really effortlessly for as big of a man as he is. Do you agree with that? Not the Sapp part, but just really how he moves.
He really does. And the story on him, I was talking to some of the guys here going into the last day of the draft and just wondering, why he was falling. And the fact that in the 6th, 7th round, we were talking about trying to get him as a free agent, I was just blown away that he would still be there. And the thing that I knew about Marvin, which got me fired up and I tried to share with people in the building, is that Marvin was the alpha dog. And you could see that in recruiting him in high school. And you can see it on tape at Florida State, the way he commanded those guys on defense and stuff like that, and just talking to him. And that's kind of, for him right now, it's kind of a blessing he went undrafted because he has the biggest chip on his shoulder. And like I said, he's got a little alpha dog to him. So the combination of those things, I think, is hitting really well for him right now.
And that's the thing that's amazing, Coach, is we're talking about three guys, but it's not like we got all these other guys going to make up the room too, and you're going to be trying to, as Nathan said, just so competitive with this group. I'm curious how you approach it as a coach. Tommy, obviously we drafted. Marvin, you undrafted free agent. And Malik, of course, has been out of football for a little bit. But in terms of all of these guys so highly regarded, as I mentioned earlier, when they get here, do you blank slate them? How do you mentioned Marvin with the chip on the shoulder. How do you feed into that? How do you manage guys who, from the way that they've been thought of most of their lives, is all very similar, can't miss guys, and yet they're all competing for a couple of spots here?
Right. Yeah, no, it's tough. All of them different backgrounds, different ways of getting here, whether they were drafted, free agent, highly recruited out of high school, not highly recruited, all different stories. And so now at this point, I just continue to remind these guys, and I did it just 30 minutes ago when we got out of our D-line meeting with everybody, just had the opportunity at hand. At the end of the day, it does not matter if you're drafted, it does not matter if you're an 8th-year guy, a rookie. At the end of the day, you got to earn your spot, and that's what this league is about. You got to earn your spot on the roster. You got to earn the respect of the guys in the room by playing your tail off. And, the cream rises. It always does in this league. It's something special, and the guys that are made for it, they'll find a way to compete and get their butt on the roster.
Coach, what's wild about this defensive tackle group, and we'll get into the ends in a second, is the only guy that played snaps for you last year on the roster is Jordan Elliott. Billings is back after opting out, and he is a ginormous man from getting to see him. Malik Jackson comes in, the veteran. We talked about Damian Square, who's a 9-year veteran in the league. You got to be good to be in the league 9 years as a defensive tackle. What can you tell us about Jordan's progress from year 1 to year 2, and then how are kind of some of these new faces and guys who are veterans and have started a lot of games in the league, fitting in, and how that progression's going for you, knowing the only guy you coached last year was Jordan Elliott?
Yeah, and, I don't want to be that guy that sits here and sounds super excited about everybody, but I'm just telling you the guy I'm most excited about, Jordan Elliott. Going into his sophomore year, everybody talks about most improvements made from year 1 to year 2, and, Jordan missed all of OTA's training camp off-season work last year, rookie mini camp, because there was none. And for him to play in 19 games last year, go through the growing pains, but, really improve as the season went on, I'm expecting a big jump for him. And obviously Sheldon Richardson leaving the room, opportunities there for Jordan to step up in year 2. So super excited about him. You said Damian, who you had. He played at the Chargers in similar scheme, has done it for years. So just excited about his background in the scheme and understand what we're trying to do. And then Malik Jackson, really kind of the jack of all trades. We can play him at big end if we need him to. He can play 3. He can play the 2-eye for us. and he's really a technician too. And I like picking his brain as well in front of the group, and so the younger guys can hear him talk about all his experiences, different places he's been, different schemes he's played in. So just really like where the group is at right now.
Hey, Coach, the other thing is, as we're talking, spend all this time on the interior, Jadeveon Clowney was probably going to spend some time in the interior as well and kick inside. And Coach Joe Woods has talked about that. As you guys went big, let's now take a step back and go to big picture, what you want this group to be defensively up front, and not necessarily the people that are in positions, but just the type of players you want and the way that you want the makeup of this group to be. What comes to mind?
Oh man, just the flexibility to be able to, like you said, kind of move guys around, put the pieces together, personnel things when we really start getting there by game plan. You open with the Chiefs week 1, you kind of know what kind of offense that is. So maybe we're smaller, so to say, up front that week, rushing the passer more, things like that. And it's just a lot of possibilities out there that we'll get to work with as a coaching staff, when we get to sit down and start game planning as the season goes. But right now, obviously, we're focused on the off season, but really excited for when training camp actually gets here and we get to go with all those guys. And because it's easy to say, oh, yeah, we can put this guy here, this guy there on paper. But until you really get to work with these guys, know what their strengths are, how they are in there with other guys in the group, who they're playing alongside, all that stuff goes into it. So lots of variables until we really to get it set in stone for week 1 against the Chiefs.
How's our growing legend Curtis Weaver looking so far?
He's looking good. He's been out in Arizona working, and he's sending me videos of him training and doing things. So, really excited for him, and opportunities there for him. He's got to come in, he's got to earn it. But, he knows how to sack the quarterback. He showed that in college. And the saying goes, guys that usually know how to sack the quarterback in college can find a way to do it in the NFL. But sometimes it takes time. So we'll see what Weave can do when he gets rolling here.
Coach, 2 years ago, you were working with one of the most dominant defensive lines in recent NFL history in San Francisco with, all the number 1 picks. The guys had 5 first-rounders up there. Well, now you got 2 number 1 overall picks on your defensive line. You've got another guy from the first round in Tack McKinley. And how fun is it kind of being in the meetings with those guys and as you said, thinking up all the things you're going to, want to see and try to do with them. But to have a defense that there's no doubt if it is 3rd and long, there's going to be a lot of fun ways to go get after this quarterback.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. It's exciting for me. I think it's exciting for the staff. It's exciting for the fans. I think those guys are excited.
Yeah.
Again, it's just been virtual now. I don't even know if Jadeveon and Miles have spent any time together, in recent years outside the building. So, it's still kind of weird. We're still in Zoom meetings. They speak up a little bit in there, but it's still not the same until we can get in the locker room, get in the building, all those guys working together and see people's personalities come out in front of each other too. And, and that's when teams are built, teams are bonded, and really that's, training camp. We get that thing rolling and you get the chemistry going, and that's another part, the exciting part of the journey.
Coach, we thank you so much for your time today.
Can't
and
wait.
It's interesting you hear the phrase iron sharpens iron. Your position group is one that Nathan and I have talked about ad nauseum through the offseason of, my goodness, there's so much. And the draft just added to that. It's going to be incredible to watch it all come together. Appreciate your time today,
Very
sir.
much.
Oh, thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Go Brown.
Let's go.
Absolutely. Yeah, you tell me, Z, how you cut that group down.
I don't know. I don't know how.
I don't know.
I don't know how you deal with this defensive tackle room at all. On the defensive end side of it, you know who your 3 for sure are, and then Weaver and Gustin are likely to be competing for that 4th spot. On the interior, if you would say to me, Billings is going to make the team. Malik Jackson was brought in here because I know Chris Kiffin loved what he did in Jacksonville. Joe Woods loved him in Denver, coached him in Denver. You'd feel pretty good about him. He just said the guy he's most excited about in that room is Jordan Elliott.
I know it.
Okay, so now we're at 3.
Yeah.
You draft Togiai in the 4th round, so you feel like he's obviously highly thought of. Square has made a roster 9 years in a row in the National Football League out of Alabama. Malik McDowell is insane looking and can be as dominant as anybody, I would imagine. And
he was so dominant.
Marvin Wilson, Kiffin was recruiting him in college. He was the number 1 defensive tackle
Well,
prospect
I was not
and the
aware
number
of
2 prospect in all of football that year.
Yeah. Did you have that nugget that he recruited him
I
at Ole
did
Miss?
not have
I didn't
that. That
have
was
that
great
nugget.
to hear that right there. I loved that.
Very interesting because that's a pre-existing relationship that goes back, and so now you start to connect the dots. How does Marvin Wilson? How's it here in undrafted? Obviously, we paid him a lot of money, but how is it here? How do you make choices? Go with someone who knows you. Kiffin recruited him hard, knows his mama still, which is an incredible thing, and all of that. So I think those things. That's a really interesting part of that, and that's why when we press down on that a little bit, you think about Togiai, Wilson, McDowell. Those guys are dudes. Those are dudes, man. I mean, that's a group.
And they
right
obviously
there.
think
And
Elliott's
Wilson,
a dude.
Correct. Yeah. Wilson is a fascinating one, just from a guy who a year ago, as you pointed out, is a first rounder in every mock there is. He's the number 1. He's in the first round in every mock, and if Tommy Togiai goes back to Ohio State, he would have been a first rounder in every mock.
We went over the course of a week from not having any idea who our defensive tackles were going to be, who our fourth one was going to be. Sheldon Day had come back to the roster, but you had 4 guys, period. And now you've added 4 who you think all have very legitimate claims to be on your 53. Now, some are tougher stories, right? But Togiai, 4th-round pick, strong stud. Square has made it in the league for 9 years. When you're not a pass-rushing stud on the interior and you've managed to stay in the National Football League for 9 seasons, you are reliable and you do exactly what is asked of you, and you do it at a very solid level because it's always easier. You're a pro to find a guy who's making significantly less money at that point to put in there. Wilson was as highly regarded out of high school as anybody. And as a year ago, you point out, was in the first round of every mock. Insanely talented. I saw the way Joe Woods reacted about getting him. Kiffin's telling you, he's going, why the heck is this guy not drafted yet? Let's get him. We got him. And then Malik McDowell looks like he could be that. I mean,
he was a second-round pick in his own right. And from a talent standpoint, mistakes were made, obviously, but he would have been a 1 from a talent standpoint. It's the only thing that kept him from being a 1. He was dominant at Michigan State. Dominant. Absolutely dominant. It's a crazy room. If your game plan for this season includes buying or selling a home, Howard Hanna Real Estate Services has you covered. Visit howardhanna.com/go Browns today. Still so much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Obsessing over something like football can be a problem. If you're obsessing over gambling, it can be dangerous. Let's do something to take your mind off it. If you want some tips, go to keepitfunohio.com for great ways to keep gambling fun. We will play the Grant Delpit presser tomorrow on the program, so you'll have that to look forward to. Also, the final power rankings for us as we are 1 through 4, and there will be a slight difference as you have the Bills inside your 4, and I have the Packers inside my 4, but the team that we both have inside our 4 is us. Your Cleveland Browns both make the top
That's
4
right.
for us.
Of course.
As
Of course they do.
As they should be. Also, do you have the Tom Pelissero news out in terms of the cap as that news is starting to trickle out a little bit there, Z?
Yeah, that news is coming out. And one thing I thought is interesting to note, and I think for me and Gibbe in particular, this is going to be great news. All the cuts now will not be on that Saturday. They are on Tuesday, the final cuts.
Oh.
Not Saturday of Labor Day weekend, which I think is a fantastic thing. No BPAs from the lake.
Gibby.
None of that.
No.
No
That's
emergency
4
pods.
days of solid drinking. Let's go.
Jeez,
let Gibby live.
Unfettered. Yes. By the way, the cap ceiling is $208.2 million for 2022. That is a jump of 26 basically million from this year's
30.
number. So for a team looking to make some extensions, that's good. There's no guarantee that that's where it will be. It could land below that depending on revenue projections, but it is a major, major increase and a step back in the right direction. And the cap's supposed to spike again in 2023.
And I told you yesterday I would give you a drink that I've never had before, and maybe you've had it, and maybe I'm just late to the party. You know I don't like clear alcohols, and this one isn't necessarily clear. But I had over the weekend a Firefly Sweet Tea Vodka Arnold Palmer.
Oh. Yeah.
Jeez.
Delightful.
That's a dangerous
Daly's the drink
proposition
of the
for a
summer,
guy like
brother.
me.
It's the
I
best.
understand, but now you add this Sweet Tea Vodka in it, this
Right.
Firefly Sweet Tea Vodka to replace the tea. Good night, nurse. That's a good
Yeah.
one. Enjoy that all summer long. Gibby, have you had one of those?
I've
Get
had
on
that.
it. You'll love it.
There are a couple companies that make it sweet
but
tea
I have
vodka.
a tea time at 5:30.
20.
Go, Gibbe, go.
Next, Gibby.